Hey viewers, Hexcraft here. Before we start, a few things. First off, video-wise, yes, it's been a bit. The last video I know was last week, but between that was the Scorched video with Gap. That's because my old editing software was kind of dying on me. I've had it for a long time, actually, so makes sense. So I'm moving from that old software to starting to learn how to use Premiere, so it's taken me a bit, but I hope this video comes out well. Second off, when talking about Renekton, a lot of the details are in his skin, so abilities will have, of course, details, interesting things I can point out, but ability-wise, like Nasus, his ultimate's his flashiest thing, so I'll try to point out whatever interesting details I can see in skins, but I'm mainly focusing on the model and do the effects get anything extra on top of it when judging the number placement of the skins. It's very difficult, honestly, with some of these. But yeah, that being said, let's get into it. As always, base skin gets a 5, and base skin wise, yeah, he's a big crocodile man. It's cool blade and all, but the one detail that I always thought was interesting and weird, when Riot changed the lore for being Shurima in that, they never changed his armor to be golden like everyone else. They kept him in gray metal, which no one else really used in Shurima that I can remember. And to those who don't know what I mean, before, Renekton and Nasus weren't even from the same world as the League of Legends setting. They were summoned here. It's complicated, weird, and yeah. But all in all, it's an okay skin, but it does show its age in comparison if it stands next to any other Shurimans. Honestly, Galactic's not a bad skin, it's just weird. Weird in the way that it doesn't feel galactic. To be fair, the ones for both Nasus and Azir are also kind of weird in that regard, but I don't know. The parts that you could tell are more of like a space suit are alright, but weapon doesn't really scream anything space special, and the armor just feels like, I don't know, just really reinforced plates. The pale alligator is something that's a cool design, and ability-wise, we basically made everything else pale. It's just a recoloring of the abilities. But I will say the unique thing I do love is the blade goes blue, where most skins just keep it going the reddish-orange look. All in all, it's better than base, so it gets a 6. And I gotta say, the pack armor on it kind of looks neat. Immediately when I saw this skin, I thought, why does he get a hat, but Yorick couldn't? Because it kind of just feels weird, you know? But at the same time, this skin would not be as good without the hat. The whole Outback look is kind of the vest and the hat. The blade kind of also being more unique in its wrappings and such. Kind of almost the boomerang shape, too. All in all, it's a really nice skin, and yeah. It gets a 6 though, because again, the effects are the same as base. If it had something more unique, maybe it could get a 7, but all in all, again, it's a nice model. This feels like a D&D skin, which I don't even think Bloodfury is a part of the fantasy D&D skin line. I think it's actually like the Blood Gem line. But all in all, the kind of dragon-esque beast-looking skin, the horns on the armor, heck, the armor itself looks nice. The effects are just recolors for the most part, but the fact that they made them red, I think, makes it a lot better than just keeping it, you know, basic sand. You can still notice the sand moving during the dash, but all in all, I think the model is what really sells this one. A lot better than the previous two models, because even with just them being recolored effects, I think this deserves a 7. It's well designed in my opinion. Dear God, yeah. The alt effect is really cool, I'll give it that. That is a part of the design that I really enjoy. The dash is, again, the other effects are not really noticeable with the abilities. The blade is okay and all, but dear God, the armor. The Rune War armors are, yeah, this was kind of the old League lore in a skin form. But why does he have, like, riven rune blades on his back? What are with the gems on those big plate shoulder pads that he does hit himself in the head with when he moves. All in all, I think the armor just looks bad in game. I gotta give this I gotta say a 6. I think the armor needs an update. But yeah, it's better than base, so that's a plus, but it does need a new makeover. This is one of those skins that feel like it is well designed enough that it could fall into either or of two different skin lines. Because the armor and metal pieces he has on his tail and his lower jaw, I could see that being a battle cast skin for him, but the blade and then the fiery details just make it feel like it's the Inferno skin that it's supposed to be. And I think that's a great concept. When it comes to the fire-based skin line, this is one of the more unique ones of that skin line, and that's the ones I like the most. The newer designs they tried to make, where they're just fire people, like the Olaf and Ash skin, they're horrendous. This, however, he has a furnace that opens on his back when he ults. The fire effects are generic. I'm pretty sure they're also the same ones that base and Eek uses, sort of, with the smoke and flames, but they just fit here. The tornado now being a fire blast, there's ashes when he does his spin, and the sort of glowing on his head is just more intensified with the smoke and flame look. All in all, this is a really good skin for something so cheap, and yeah, I think this is one of the better fire skins that I'd argue that if it had the newer flame effects that Riot uses all the time, this skin could be a solid 8. But because it has the generic old effects, I gotta bump it to a 7 only. But all in all, this skin is on the verge of getting higher, in my opinion. If Riot just adds a small bit of detail update, this is a really good skin, and it's still very much worth it. This is a skin that, again, it's great, but it has its major flaws. The ult, again, the bubbly water flowing around is nice. The model is cool and silly, the bright green crocodile, lifeguard outfit, safety tool and all that. And when you dash, again, bubbles and water. Spin, though, has nothing to it, and yeah, the enhanced auto that stuns, you don't even have a glowing weapon anymore. Again, this skin has so much going good for it that it gets a 7, but there's just so much lacking that it feels like they just forgot about. This skin could be so much better, but Riot just seems to just drop half the skin's effects out of nowhere. Like, just add bubbles to when he does his spin attack and, you know, make the tube bubble even, or glow even. It just doesn't. It's weird that everything else glows when they do the W, but this one doesn't. I don't know why. But yeah, it gets a 7. The prehistoric skins always felt weird. Especially this one, because with the weapon and the armor it has, it kind of feels more like it's trying to be a world ender. But it's not. It's just Aztec-y. The back fins, I guess there might be some prehistoric crocodiles that had those. There are plenty of prehistoric reptilian, like water-based creatures, of course, that had those, and some that weren't even. But all in all, it just feels a bit out of place. Just a bit of red to add to the grayer green and the gold of the armor. And, of course, the effects have nothing. They're just the basic sand effects. Hell, I wouldn't even call this prehistoric Renekton. I'd call this lizard folk from Warhammer Fantasy. He's just a Croxigar now. Which, it's cool and all, but the model's the only good part, and that just gets it up to 6 in my opinion. This was back when I feel like Riot wasn't really on the ball when it came to how to design team skins. Like, putting Renekton in merch and just giving him the logo as a weapon is okay. Again, the ultimate is probably his best effect, but this just felt Again, the pale alligator again that we've seen in previous skins, which I've double checked it doesn't seem to be the exact same model as the previous pale alligator, but at the same time, it's very much the same coloring. So it could just be slightly edited. Who knows? It's the same character, so it wouldn't matter if they just reused the white alligator part. No, what matters is the merch outfit never looks good in these early team skins. The blade is just okay. The wings feel a little too high up, even for the logo, which is on the back of the hoodie, which is not as high up. The wings. And also, what is that shoulder pad? Is that like a police fucking symbol on it for a star and like banner? Was it supposed to be like a cop skin originally that they scrapped? All in all, this just feels like a really skin. So yeah, I gotta give it a 5. I guess you could wear this over base skin, but all in all, take it, leave it, never use it. If you have something else, it's probably better than this. You see, the toy skin line has always been an example of a model can carry the skin. Other skins were more so the armor, outfit, and such that can make it look good, but turning Renekton entirely into a toy is an interesting concept. Of course, most of the stuff here are the same ability effects, nothing special. The ult is now green with what looks to be a symbol at the bottom. It's very faint, but I think it's supposed to be his blade, which again, when using your enhanced attack, it doesn't glow the blade. Don't know why Riot keeps doing that, but yeah. More importantly though, what feels weird is how much detail they actually do put into like the toy skins. Like, again, the model is where this shines. And yeah, for a melee character, a model is usually what matters most, not the effects. The only visual effect that needs cool design has it. So yeah, I think the toy line is a really good skin line, and I think this model is what shines the best. For once, it's a model that pumps up the skin to, I say, a 7. And I hope Riot makes more toy skins, because these are actually usually the most well done skins. Look at the Cho'Gath one. Good examples. Blackfrost has always been an interesting skin line, because the effects are where Riot puts so much effort in. Like, the model is good and all, but dear god, the ultimate, I think, is one of the coolest. There's a lot more, like, extra, like, flash to when you activate it, and then once it's going, the snowstorm just feels more intense. And it's not just recolored effects in there, those are actual, looks like ice shards. The symbol of failure under it. The blizzard just seems more powerful than the usual sandstorm. And I love the glow of the purple showing the void in the black ice. Just a great design. It really gives the feel of like they made their own Renekton or corrupted Renekton. All in all, it's a really good skin, and I gotta give it an 8. Project skins have been interesting. Most robot skins I get annoyed by because they use the same visual effects, but Project, no, they use glowing light blades instead of using the same kind of hexagon effects. And yeah, this is a legendary, so of course, all the effects are so much better. The ult is just so much more cooler. It's a more intense body that gains more blades on it. The spin is just so much more cool and clean. The dashes look actually effective. The spinning of the blade. Heck, even weirdly enough, the enhanced auto attack is a different swing animation, which I'm surprised. It's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, he one-hands it instead of two-handing it. All in all, it's a really cool skin, which I do love. When you're ulting, you see a gauge on both sides of your screen, one representing your like rage, the other the time on this ult has. And finally, of course, when out of combat, or also the toggle as well, you basically show that there is a human piloting this Renekton suit. All in all, it's a cool, interesting design, and yeah, project skins have always had a really great detail, but they got to shine so much more with this legendary, so yeah, I gotta give it an 8. Dawnbringer skins, just like Nightbringer skins, have always been, to me. They have this weird chaos, angelic demon look to them, but then sometimes they try to lean more so towards just other things besides that. But this one feels weird in its own ways. The fact that it has feathers on its back for some reason. But usually all the other skins, none of them have real feathers like this. Usually most of the Dawnbringer skins have the kind of magic feathers that you see on his blade. The ult is, again, stunning. He looks great when he's ulting, even getting the Halo crown, but again, Feather Storm. Kind of weird to me, but okay. All in all, the effects are nice and interesting, especially the blade's glow of gold when you use it. But all in all, it's a good skin. It's just the small detail of like emphasizing his feathers feels weird. Because it's not just when he ults, it's also when he Qs and when he recalls. Why is this skin so focused on the special effect of feathers when you could just emphasize light? Is he shedding? Or molting, I guess? I don't know, it's just a detail that kind of just draws the eye, and I guess that does help the skin look a lot nicer. But all in all, it kind of feels distracting too, so I gotta give it a 7. I always like the skins that turn him not into just a crocodile in armor. This one really does it a unique way. It's kind of chaos being looking creature. And at first I thought the blue and red weren't going to be a nice combo till I found out that the red is just an enhancer and it's mainly for his abilities. The kind of electric effect in his ult, I would say that really does make the storm look a lot nicer than just if it was wind and debris. Have that extra little detail of the sparks of energy moving through the storm. The enhanced dash being red, the sparks while he Qs in his spin, and the blade just glowing that crimson red, sparking with energy. Yeah, this is a really well done skin, and god, it's hard to say if the 7 or an 8. Just because of the effects, I want to give it that 8. All in all, it's a really good skin. And yeah, it's hard to believe, because usually world skins are kinda okay at best. Alright, let's start with the negative things. It kind of feels like a jumbled mess. The black, gold, weird body tone of color and purple kinda just feel, when looking at it from a distance. Usually, there's a lot more clarification and looks that I would say is a bit nicer in his skins. The bigger issue, however, is what the fuck is with the skin tone? And I mean that literally. He has like pale skin color. Is he supposed to be a rock? Is he a kind of another variant of a pale alligator? Is he human skin toned? Like, what is this pale white guy skin? It feels so weird. And the gold doesn't really emphasize with it like it should. It kind of blends in, really. Besides that, though, I will say the positives. I do love the armor designs I could see. The effects are, well, they're Inkshadow effects. You know, dark colors, usually involving the color scheme of the effect. That is their primary color. And yeah, splatters of dark ink everywhere. I think this time, though, his Q and his W shine the most. The gold glow on his head and his blade and his W are actually, I would say, one of the cooler glows, because it also has the emphasis of the black from the ink, which I think just proves it. Again, the swing from the Q, I think, is also just a beautiful look of the gold, blacks, and purples. The ult's a bit dull, in my opinion. I feel like it could be brighter. It feels pale in comparison to the other purple effects, and there isn't really much of a dark black outlining to it. But all in all, it's a decent skin, and it gets a 7. And there you have it. Hope you'll enjoy it. Again, sorry if the video is edited weirdly, or if it's not as usual compared to the older skin videos I've done. I'm, again, using a whole new editing software that I'm just starting to learn and get better hang of it. Hopefully, though, I can figure it out and start posting out videos more frequently, because with this software, I hope to actually increase the amount of videos I produce. So yeah, if there's a champion you'd like to see, leave a comment down below. Comment, like, and share if you will. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.